In crystal clear HD stereo. Today's pregame show is brought to you by
Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Arrow Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. Blockchain.com. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus.
Welcome to Week 17, ladies and gentlemen. Cowboys in filthy, taking on these Eagles. Rocking that Kelly Green today, Broaddus.
Are they going with the Kelly Green?
Going with the Kelly Greens. Yeah, they're throwing it back.
Wow.
They definitely are, with the two heavyweights at quarterback. Kenny Pickett versus Cooper Rush going toe-to-toe. Just how we drew
Dallas
it up.
got the advantage in this one, don't they?
Do we have the quarterback advantage?
I think we
That's
do.
a great question.
I think we do.
877-881-1053. You know, Broaddus, you got to wonder if Fox is kind of kicking themselves for booting this game out of the prime 325 slot when you got these two guys.
I would say that's television brilliance right there.
Yeah. No, they got ahead of that one in a big way.
They got way ahead of that one, though.
Jalen Hurts out with the concussion. Of course, we got the news earlier this week that CeeDee Lamb has been shut down, so it's a bunch of spare parts going into Philadelphia, and Saquon Barkley looking to get that record. Do you think they're going to be heavy-handed about it? Like, just
absolutely.
Barkley right, Barkley left.
Absolutely.
Let's chip away at this Dickerson record.
No reason not to. Dallas has got to find a way to play some outstanding run defense. They're going to lean on their offensive line. I don't see them putting Kenny Pickett in harm's way. Dallas is, the one thing that Dallas, I really do believe that Dallas's defense will hold them in this game like they did for a half. Last time these two teams met,
Defense played awesome.
Offense will not be able to do enough, even with CeeDee Lamb. He played last time these two teams met. Cooper Rush has gotten better. The ball has gone down the field.
Maybe off his best game.
The offensive line has kind of stabilized a little bit, but you have the better quarterback. They have the better wide receivers, and the running game is they've got one of the best runners in the league. Your runner, when committed by the coaching staff, could be pretty damn good. And can Dallas block this front, which they had some success running last time, but the game just got out of hand. And so Dallas has got to turn this into a Washington game, where all of a sudden it's you get some timely stops, you get a couple of drives, you get some special teams field position, maybe something happens with a return, maybe you get a block punt, something needs to go your way. This is going to be difficult. Just Philadelphia, even without their quarterback, they have a chance to clinch the division. I don't think they want to carry this thing any further. They're playing the Giants next week, which should be a walk in the park. But I think they want to be able to kind of get this thing done, be able to rest players. They're likely going to, be the second seed, I believe, in this
They are
in this tournament. And if that's the case, then they haven't been able to play really nobody against the Giants, and then get ready for likely the Commanders, out of the 7 hole. That's going to probably be the plan that they want to implement the next couple of weeks.
Well, I love that you're saying with confidence that the Cowboys have the quarterback advantage here.
Don't you feel like they do?
It's tough because every time Cooper Rush plays the Eagles, it seems like we get the worst version of him.
Oh, that's fair.
Even going back to 2022.
I just feel like that if you look at the way the quarterbacks, Cooper Rush is, he's had some decent games this year where you're right, where he falls apart with the turnovers and things like that.
There's something about when the Eagles come to play, like he's not himself.
Vic Fangio will play cover 2, the 2 deep safeties. He'll make him check down every single ball. And the last time they played, like I say, no air yards at all. And this, you're asking your receiving core, which really hasn't been great all year. You're asking your receiver core to win on the outside against some of the best secondary players in the league. These guys, they give up. Just look at the metrics. The quarterbacks that throw against this, completion rate right at 60%. 60%. And they're going to play their 2 deep. They're going to play their nickel. They got rookies that are really, really good. Mitchell and DeJean that have been really good cover guys. This time last year they were god awful. And
Terrible.
What do they do? They went out and addressed 2 of the biggest problems that they had. And they got it taken care of. They got the nickel taken care of, and they got the outside corner. And to be honest with you, Darius Slay might be the worst of the 3 guys playing out there. And their safeties, their corners get no turnovers. Corners don't get any interceptions. 0. Their safeties are the ones that kill you. Between the 2 of them, they've got 8 interceptions. So overthrow some balls, be loose with the football, try and fit one in there on Blankenship and Gardner Johnson. You're probably going to have some problems. And so that's the challenge today. I just believe this. You've got to. Dallas has played a couple of these games this year. They played a Pittsburgh game like this, and they played a Commanders game like this. You have to be committed. You cannot go a game plan like Cincinnati where you kind of have things. Your defense is playing well, and then you forget to run the football. They have got to find a way to maintain this ball, and it's not just because I worry about a steady diet of Barkley all day. That's what I just getting wore down. We've seen this with the Dallas defense very, very early in the year. Been much better against the run here lately, but they are going to have a challenge today because Philadelphia is going to try and knock off as many of those 260 yards for that record. Maybe they're hoping that next week he needs, 80 yards or something like that to break the record.
Yeah, Barkley sitting 268 rushing yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's all-time
They're
single
hoping to
season
get that
rushing
inside
record.
100 is what they're hoping.
162 yards away from reaching the 2K number. Yeah. Which is obviously a nice milestone. Right. So, they're going to want to chip away at that as much as possible. And for Rico's 97 yards away from being the first undrafted player in Cowboys history to reach 1,000 rushing yards. So we got some rushing milestones here.
I think he's got a shot where, they have got their run defense at times has not been great. But that's where... That to me, and Dallas had some success. You watch the tape the last time, Rico, this is when they were in that, 6-7 weeks ago when they were splitting carries still. Just now they're committed to Rico Dowdle running the football, and they need to try and take advantage of that if they can.
Yeah, and I do think this Eagles defense is going to be coming in here ready to take care of business with a bad taste in their mouth after the way they closed things down in that fourth quarter versus the Commanders last week.
22 points in the fourth that lost that football game.
Awful. Yeah. Awful ending to that game. Offensively, they had some bonehead moments, but the defense gave up a ton there. Like you said, 22 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. As long as Nick Sirianni's your coach, there's a chance that you might get as the opponent, you might get the victory because he might do something that just is totally like, no, you should punt right here, Nick. You shouldn't go for it on your own 28 and then get stopped and give up points. Dallas has got to take advantage. Dallas, last time these teams played, Dallas had defensively had this as like they had this like as a 7-3 game. You know, they were in or 7-3. Yeah, they were in control of the situation. They got a turnover right before the half in the 5-yard line, get a sack, fumble. They kick a field goal, 7-6, and then that was all she wrote. They just could not. Too many 3-and-outs, and that's my fear when you play Philadelphia is a lot of 3-and-outs.
Yeah, I mean, Rush threw for 45 total yards in that game earlier in the season at AT&T Stadium. 34-6, Eagles get the victory. 13 of 23 passing for Rush for 45 yards. It was a true disaster class, but that was his first game starting. And the offense has definitely started trending in a much better direction since. And he is off his best game maybe ever as a pro versus the Bucs. But with no CeeDee Lamb, it's certainly going to be tough sledding. And this Eagles defense has been legit. What do you think about Kellen Moore, though, in this offense? How do you like the way it's evolved? And has Kellen Moore, is he just copy and pasting what he used to do? Is there different elements now?
I think there's more to it. I think that he has the weapons that he has, that, you know, his ability. The running game has been really, really, as we know, been very, very good for them. The offensive line is historically is I think very good when you look at the two tackles and, you know, Cam Jurgens at center. He has got a lot to work with.
And Stoutland, the O-line coach, is one of the best in the sport.
And absolutely is. And
so he's helping and design that rushing attack.
They're him, Doug Nussmeier, those guys, they're coming up with some really, you know, some ways of you know, the play action stuff has been huge for this team. You know, you got a quarterback that's like right around 78% when you talk about Hurts throwing off play action. That right there, man. I mean, the threat of the running game and then their ability to play off the play action with downfield threats, A.J. Brown, the crossing routes and stuff that they get from Smith. And, you know, the ability to throw the ball in the flat to Barkley. There's just a lot of elements to this game. He could look down on that play sheet and feel good about every single thing he's calling.
Okay, one of the things that's always been frustrating from a Cowboys standpoint is the inability to put together a consistent, awesome, well-designed, and well-executed screen game.
Yeah.
Just in general, backs, tight ends, receivers. Has Kellen Moore figured out a way to do that with the Eagles well? Do they have a nice screen game, or is he still struggling with that?
No, he's figured, like I say, throwing the ball to Barkley in the flat. They don't have to use the screen game. Now, where they'll use the screen game is with the tight end.
And there's no Goddard today. He's been out for a while.
Yeah, and no Goddard, and that'll help the situation for the Cowboys in that way, because with him you were always getting the tight end delay,
right?
You know, or you get the okay, we're going to send Flo one way and then have him just sit on the backside, and then all of a sudden he just kind of leaks out into the out to the flat and then makes a play. So yeah, that's where that part of it is. Andy Reid and them used to run all these different screen packages with this team. This guy they'll throw a screen, but it's mainly the tight end screen, and they'll throw the wheel to Barkley. Like his ability to get up the field. Now, Barkley will drop a ball on you, too.
He had a huge one last week.
Oh, he's had a couple.
Crushed him. Him and Devontae Smith.
Yeah, he's had a couple of times in this during the season where he's gone to the flat and the ball is just clanged right off his hand. So you never know with him, but for the most part, though, he has been very, very successful.
I'll tell you, looking at some of the stuff here with the Eagles, it was jarring to see. Now, they are first in rushing yards per game, and we know that's been their bread and butter this year with Barkley. But it's crazy to see that they're 31st in passing yards per game and 31st in sacks per attempt.
Yeah.
That is...
They don't have to throw the ball, though. That's the whole idea.
I totally get that. I mean,
when you run the ball as well as
31st, though?
Oh, no, they don't. They just don't have to throw. That's the whole the way that they run the football. Their attempts are going to be down. But don't get twisted on this, man. Their air yards are good. I mean, they're when they
they go up to AJ Brown and all that stuff. Yeah. But 31st in sacks per attempt. I don't think you're winning a Super Bowl if that's who you are. The passing yards, I get it. They will find a way. They will find a way. Now, in the fourth quarter last week of their game against the Commanders, that was a bad defensive performance. For the most part, these guys average opponents get less than 5 yards a play against these guys. It's best in the league.
we're sitting there nitpicking on pass blocking when they do so much well on other things like running the football, playing really, really good defense. Man, this team's I wouldn't say that this team doesn't have a chance to win the Super Bowl with the way that they play. They play their physical football team, and they do a really, really good job of playing defense and playing pass defense. They could shut you down. I mean, they got multiple guys that have sacks. It's not just one or two guys. It's their tackles. It's their edges. Their corners. I just mentioned their corners don't give up any.
I got no issue with their defense, but if you're 31st in sacks per attempt, that tells me that you can't consistently throw the football and depend
They don't
on
have to.
Well, you are going to have to, though.
Well,
Broaddus.
no, but
if you want to win a Super Bowl,
it's football.
You're have to.
But if you're this consistent running the football and you're averaging 160 something yards a game,
couldn't run the ball in the second half versus the Commanders last week.
No quarterback. The quarterback didn't play. When they're a different team. They're probably 2 yards or less carrying the football with Kenny Pickett in the game as in with Jalen Hurts. That's a difference. The reason why he had 60 yards last time against you in the Barkley had 60 yards rushing against you last time. Who killed you in that game? Hurts running the football. That's the problem. When you play, I almost said a bad word about them. When you play these guys, that's the problem that you run into. They might be different running the ball today with no Hurts in there.
For sure.
He's the one that kills you. And what is the thing when you and I and Zach and Gavin are on, we always talk about playoff football. You guys are always screaming this. Give me that running quarterback in the playoffs. Give me that running quarterback.
Yeah, unleash him.
They've got a running quarterback in this playoff.
Yeah, and we saw him run in the first quarter and get concussed, and that can happen to you. You got to be careful. Got to be careful.
We're nitpicking now, bro.
well, you got to get nitpicky when you're talking about the Super Bowl. You're not talking about just
it's a good football team. It's a really good football team.
It was just jarring to see that they were 31st in sacks per attempt, and still,
you know what's going to happen today? Dallas is probably not going to get a chance to rush the passer, so that number will go down for you. Dallas will probably have to play run defense all day today. If this turns into a game where Dallas is rushing the passer, Dallas will have a chance. But if it turns into 5, 6, 7 yards a carry with Barkley,
be a long day.
Yeah. Me and Woolchuck will be talking about, where was the pass rush today? Chiofalo was talking about where that 31st in pass rush blocking. Bro. Come on, man.
Oh, wow.
You were on it this morning, man.
We've poked the bear early this morning.
Yeah, you're on it, man. This team is a good. They
are a good team.
Offensively, they're a good football team, and they're going to play with a backup quarterback today and probably embarrass you on defense.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not. We're going to hear from Maris Leefall coming up here in just a few minutes on the official pregame show of America's Team, brought to you by Reliant and NRG Company. We'll be all over Lincoln Financial Field, getting out there inside the Star with Bobby Belt coming up here in just a bit. Of course, we have Broaddus' favorite guy. Maybe I can tick Merrill Reese off about that, too. I'll be like, Merrill, I don't know if you're winning a Super Bowl if you're 31st in sacks per attempt, Merrill.
Whoa.
Legendary voice of the Eagles. We'll catch up with him, Brad Sham, Pam Oliver, Christy Scales, the whole nine. We're just getting started here on the official pregame show. Let's go around the NFL and hear from Maris Leefall next right here on The Fan.
I'm Darren Woodson, former Dallas Cowboy.
Kickoff. Love a noon kick. Love a noon kick. Welcome to the pregame show. Cowboys, Eagles, Week 17. Lincoln Financial Field. We'll head out there and chat with Bobby Belt coming up here in just a few minutes.
You want to read some texts about people questioning your football knowledge and stuff?
Yeah, I was just told that.
By the way,
I don't know
my friend,
ball. That's the best line.
No,
dude.
no, my
you
friend,
don't know ball is such a great line.
Such a great line.
Somebody.
It really, really is. And the thing about it is, though, hey, if the texter, if you're relying on me as your guy that way, thank you very much. But my man to my left knows some ball.
Oh, dude, you're the Super Bowl champion up in here. You know what I'm saying? We're all.
I tell you what, I got carried along some days. I feel like some of those teams I was on, I got carried along. But hey, no, don't. I would never question your ability to know ball for sure.
I know. But the texter, that's hilarious. Thank you, 817.
Yeah.
All right, Inside
Good
the
way to
Star.
start your day.
Live from Filthy, a pleasant Sunday morning. We'll chat with Bobby Belt, but let's go ahead and tee up the player profile. It's the three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold standing by with rookie linebacker who's been pretty impressive, Maris Leefall.
Maris Leefall, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
You lost D.O. DeMarvion Overshawn.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was tough for everybody.
Yeah.
You're a linebacker. How's the linebacker room handling all of this?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely hard. It's just something you hate to see for a brother, especially something like that. That kind of injury is never, you never want that for anybody, even against people you compete with. And so, as linebackers, we know we have to take care of business for him, and we're keeping him in mind when we go to work and when we play in the game. And when I got in the game, all I could think of was for Demo and how I had to do my part for him, and also for the other guys who were depending on me to play, which the dime, which was where Demo played, and so that's how we take it.
And so your role changes up a little bit. You ready for all of this?
Yes, ready to go. Like I said.
You know, when you showed up at training camp, everybody was like going nuts about you. Like, oh wow, this guy's got something special. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I already know you went to Notre Dame, but turns out you and Puka Nacua are cousins?
Yeah. We're
wide receiver for the Rams?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we're cousins.
How are you cousins? And you know you're both Samoan.
Yep.
But he was here in the United States and you're in Hawaii. Tell us.
Yeah, in the States. So his mom is my first cousin.
Okay.
So he grew up obviously in the States and I was back home, but our moms were very close, kept in contact, and even to this day. And I still talk to him, got to see him in the preseason, both in training camp when we had the joint practice and also before our preseason or after our preseason game. And so just seeing what he's done, just very inspiring. Just a family member being able to do that, it's inspiring for me.
As I ask every guy before the game, you have any superstitions, any special thing you like to eat before the game, kind of music you want to listen to, or you kind of like some quiet? What's your pregame ritual, especially for a morning game?
Yeah, pregame, noon game, early games like that. I like to get up and I always start my day with a prayer. I don't have too much superstitions. I'm not a big superstitious guy, and so I get my prayers in, make sure I get those in, and I just show up to the game, really. Yeah, that's kind of my thing. When it's time to go, it's time to go. When I get to the stadium, then I know it's time to go. So I'm ready to go regardless of what time and what happens before. So I don't want to base too much off of routine or stupid superstitions. And so it's my thing is just when it's time to go, it's time to go.
All right, good luck this afternoon, Martis. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, Maris Leefall right there, the rookie linebacker. Overall, he has surpassed expectations, right?
Yeah, he is. When we were working on the draft on 105.3 The Fan, and with DallasCowboys.com, we covered the draft for 3 days. I'll never forget the excitement of the coaching staff and the scouts when it came to talking about him as a player. They really loved his temperament. They loved his football IQ. They loved his ability to make plays, whether it was as a rusher, whether it was an off-ball linebacker. He's around the football. We've seen him, how aware he is. You could tell in that interview, Chris was trying to get him to open up, and he was very serious about,
all business.
No superstitions, say my prayers, go play football. And I think that's kind of where I think that's what they got in Maris Leefall. They got a no-nonsense. He is going to be vital to what you do in 2025. They're going to have to address the linebacker situation with draft picks or signings. We don't know if Overshown's going to play, and you could hear it in his voice how distraught he was about Overshown and how much he wanted to go out there and represent him and the brothers he has in that linebacker room. So he's on a very good path. He's always going to work hard, attention to detail. That's a guy you're not going to have to worry about for a long time.
How about the second rounder, Marshawn Kneeland? Has he been?
That's another one. See, these Marshawn Kneeland where he was taken, and then because I wasn't as high on Marshawn Kneeland coming out because I was worried about, is he really a pass rusher? And I was thinking, give me an edge guy. He is more like what you have in Tank with the ability, and I think he's going to replace Tank. I think he's going to be the guy. Now he's back to being healthy. He missed some opportunities. It's really unfortunate because he was showing the ability to rush the passer. He was showing the ability to get to the edge. I just was waiting for him to get a couple of sacks, and then all of a sudden he was going to figure it out. Get to the corner, dip, get to the path where the quarterback is going to be, don't overrun. He was doing things. He was starting to pick those things up, and then he hurt his knee and missed a good bit of time. But he is another one of those guys that they're going to rely on because I don't believe, unless Tank comes back on a massively reduced contract, I just don't think that they're going to have to find a replacement there. And maybe they'll make the determination that they would rather bring back Golston, let Tank walk, and then have those guys play the edge. But he's done a nice job for you.
Okay, so let's take a look. We touched on it a little bit there in the open, but with this Eagles offense today, of course, it's probably going to be a ton of Barkley. They're not going to want to go crazy with Pickett.
No question.
But, with Pickett, you're talking about a guy who is really going to be leaning on A.J. Brown. From what we've seen of him, he comes in last week, and A.J. Brown, 8 catches, 97 yards, touchdown there with Kenny Pickett, 59% target rate with Kenny Pickett. He had a handful of pass interference penalties that he drew. So I think A.J. Brown is going to be a guy that Kenny Pickett is going to want to lean on today whenever they do drop back to pass. And let's not forget A.J. Brown was 5 catches, 109 yards in the first matchup.
Well, Carson was awful.
Carson was awful.
But
you got to double A.J. Brown today.
And now the problem is that, A.O. has gone on injured reserve, and that, your cornerback situation is an absolute mess. You
got Lewis and Bland.
Bland, basically, yeah. Now you got to figure out the other side.
What do you think they're going to do there?
I don't know. That's a really, really, really good question because, to me, it was they have a lot of confidence, or they had a lot of confidence in A.O. and what he could do. Last week when you and I were talking about this game, I was kind of thinking, how do you match up? And I was thinking with McQuamu, playing some with McQuamu playing some with Bland, and then kind of interchanging him, with Lewis as well. But, it's back to Andrew Booth, it looks like. They called up Troy Pride from the from the practice squad for this one. You really, really don't have, you just don't have any depth there. You just absolutely don't have any depth. And my gut feeling is that, McQuamu is the guy that I would definitely put out there. But, Mike Zimmer and the crew might go with Booth. But, man, that is such a thin group right now. And, but they might catch a break today. They might catch a break because if Philadelphia loads up on the run, then it's about playing down in the box and making tackles and not having to carry these receivers. I'll tell you this, though. I think the guy that Pickett's going to lean on, Calcaterra, the tight end that's the backup, is a pretty solid player because he could find a way. He can find ways to get open. I think Smith is the guy he leans on. Smith is the route runner. Brown's the vertical player. When you start to talk about the underneath stuff, Pickett's not interested in wanting to really try and horse that ball down the field.
The arm strength is just not really there.
It's not there.
Pickett.
So you hit Smith on the crossers, you try. I mean, Philly is really good at running like those mesh concepts and stuff where they're running guys through trash and then try and create separation. Smith could run the crossing routes underneath. He could run he could run the outs. That's another one that they'll probably go with you on.
Yeah, he's the catch, pat, out of bounds.
He could run. Yeah, he could run the hitches. These are all really simple passes that where you're gonna get Brown is how good. That's terrible English today. It's par for the course for me. How well can Kenny Pickett throw the slant? That's where Brown's going to come into this game. The big body inside. Okay, we're running the slant on Booth. If I'm running routes today, it ain't at Bland. Everything is going to number 25 side, if in fact he's there. If McQuamu plays, that's a little bit different story because he's got a little bit more length. I think he's a little bit more competitive when it comes to trying to deny routes. And he has a little bit better understanding of how not to hold or interfere or get those types of illegal contact penalties. So I would completely stay away from Bland if I had to throw the ball in this game, and I would use Smith, Calcaterra, Brown on maybe those slants, the 3rd and 5s, things like that, or you could just hand the ball to Barkley.
So are you just doubling whatever receiver Booth is matched up on, assuming Booth is the one playing? Is that the guy you double and let Bland go one-on-one, even if it's versus Brown?
The problem is you're going to have to play, and Dallas is really not great at doing this. They're really not great with playing loaded box. We've always talked about playing single high safety and keeping that. Now, the guy is Wilson down there. They're going to need Wilson to help in the running game. But that means Hooker is involved with the coverage to Booth's side. I'd absolutely shade. I'm going to, you might even think about, and we saw it a little bit late in the game with when he was dealing, last week with the Buccaneers receivers. With Bland was traveling a little bit. Do you on some downs, do you say, okay, 3rd downs, we're going to travel Bland we're going to put Izzy on the bigger guy, and then Lewis, then you deal with the slot. Like I say, that's where you're going to. They probably do not want to put Smith in the slot a bunch, even though he plays. Some of his best plays are on the outside, but he plays a lot in the slot. But his best catches are on the outside, so it might be a plan to keep him away from Lewis in the slot, play him on the outside, try and find Booth. And then what you'd have to do if you're the Cowboys is take Hooker and shade him to the side of wherever Booth's having to deal with the coverage. That might be your best chance to play defense today.
Okay, I love it. Now I'm gonna try and keep a tally today. I'm gonna ask all of our guests if they had a vote for the NFL MVP this year, who would it be? Joe Burrow continues to make a case for himself, just dragging the Bengals to still an opportunity now at the playoffs. Yeah, he was 39 of 49. Yesterday, 412 yards and 4 touchdowns. They go to overtime with Denver. They get the victory. They keep their playoff hopes alive. And his numbers this year, well over 4,000 passing yards, he's over 40 touchdown passes, and he's not getting picked off very much. So he's putting together an MVP caliber season. If they can find their way into the postseason, I think there's a decent chance he will get a very respectable number of votes. We've just been talking about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, but Joe Burrow, if he gets these Bengals into the postseason, he may have a shot.
They need a little help, right?
They're going to need some help. Yeah. They're going to need a little bit more help, yes, but they are still alive at this point. Who would be your MVP?
I personally, and you're going to hate my answer. I think Barkley's been outstanding this year, and I think if Barkley breaks Eric Dickerson's rushing record, that would be I think he's made. You made mention about Philadelphia and some of their problems throwing the football with the protections and everything. They're not having to throw the football. They are so much better team for a couple of reasons. The rookie secondary players and adding Saquon Barkley. I think if Barkley breaks that record, with the way that running backs are used in this day and age and the quarterbacks having the ability to run, that's a record that will continue to stand there. So I totally like what you're saying about Burrow but give me Barkley in that one.
Okay, there it is. I'll keep a tally with all of our guests, and our next one is live in Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field. We're 2 hours and 22 minutes to kick off. Cowboys and Eagles. Let's go inside the star with our Cowboys insider, Bobby Belt, next right here on The Fan.
Is your workplace on top of its game? For over 100 years, Pollock Aurora has been taking care of business, improving their bottom lines, and helping them grow with proven results that work. And this year is no exception. From keeping the workplace clean to custom packaging to shipping products and office essentials, Pollock leads the way in supplying everything Dallas work.
English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Let's go live to Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia and go inside the Star with our Cowboys insider, Bobby Belt. We are now just over 2 hours and 15 minutes to kick off Week 17. Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Bobby Belt live in Filthy. Hey, Bob, how you doing?
I'm wonderful, other than the fact that I'm losing my voice. But other than that, I'm great.
What'd you do? Did you go out screaming?
No.
This time of year for him.
Yeah, this is what happens.
This
so
what
I
happens.
started
It happened last year. Yep.
It was right at the end of the year last year, and I had like a little cold earlier this week, and so I'm past it now. But it's like taking a toll on the vocal cords, and plus I was screaming at Philadelphia fans on the bus ride over here, and so it torched my voice,
Bobby, get you a tasty cake and one of those pretzels, and you'll be better for it.
Yeah, I have not. I walked straight here, so I've not looked yet. Are they going to have the pretzels out this early?
Man,
for breakfast
I don't know, man, but they usually
do. Tim says they have them.
Yeah,
they're out.
Yeah, there you go. So there you go, man.
You should have sent me some Tupperware to bring you some home.
Don't worry about it, man. Those pretzels are glorious. They really are. Okay, enough about the pretzels. Enough about your voice, though.
Yeah, let's talk about the sacks per pass.
How good are you? How good? Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
You heard that, Bobby.
Exactly. How good are you playing run defense today, Bob?
I mean, they've played. Let me make sure I got your question clear.
Yeah.
The Cowboys, what level they're going to play at today, or what quality run defense are you going up against?
I think no. I'm. How well are you going to have to play run defense?
You're going to have to play really well. Now it looks clearer right now. I don't know if we're going to get storms rolling in later, but it's not the messy looking game that we thought we were going to get. At least not right now. But they want Saquon Barkley to get that record. They are without Jalen Hurts. They're going to lean on Barkley. It's going to be critical that they play well in run defense if they want to win this game. And they've been better. They've answered the call in recent weeks, and they've played better there than they were earlier this season. And so I think just like everything else with the defense, they've settled into a bit of a rhythm, and Mike Zimmer knows who he has with his personnel now and what they're capable of, and they've had a better run of it here lately. And so you've got to be really good, though, today, and this is a great Philadelphia rushing attack. And so I don't know how much, even if you put your best game out there, you're going to be able to totally slow them down, but you've got to at least make sure that you're not getting gashed for 6-7 yards a carry today.
Well, Broaddus feels pretty confident that the Cowboys have the quarterback advantage today.
I do, too. Yeah. I think Cooper Rush is better
Anyway,
than
Bobby, I
Kenny
appreciate
Pickett.
you, man.
Yeah. No, I don't think that
a couple
Kenny
of ball
Pickett,
knowers.
Yeah, we both know ball. Eric doesn't know ball.
Yeah. We do. Okay. If there's anything that's been said about the two of us, it's been that we're ball knowers.
Yeah.
But I think that I think that Kenny Pickett, if we're being honest, it was a 1-year flash at Pittsburgh where he played way above anything he had ever shown in college. And a lot of people, I think, evaluated that as, you've got a guy who this is his progress. Instead of maybe looking at, was this a peak, or was there other circumstances there that put him in a position to have that success? I believe that year, Bryan, correct me if I'm wrong, was that the same year he had Jordan Addison?
Yes.
I think, so he had Jordan Addison there, and he was really good that last year at Pittsburgh. But outside of that, from his college career up through the pros, he's looked pretty much like the same average to below average quarterback every year except his senior year at Pitt. Whereas I think Cooper Rush has shown a comfort level in running this offense and getting the most out of it. And so, I think that Dallas definitely has a quarterback advantage today.
It's Bobby Belt with us here on The Fan. Where do you have the Eagles in your NFC power rankings?
So they are... The most recent one I did, they were third.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't.
Minnesota too.
It's Minnesota too. I've wanted for so many different reasons because of the Sam Darnold effect. I keep waiting for that shoe to drop and say he's going to come back down to earth, and it hasn't yet. And Kevin O'Connell is a great coach, and he gets the most out of guys. Some of their peripherals on defense are great, but you have to look at it and go they keep winning games, and they're winning games in really impressive fashion at times. And they have a really good defense, and Sam Darnold has played really well, particularly in big crunch time moments. And so I've got them a little ahead of Philadelphia after the Eagles have had some struggles recently, and then they lose that game to the Commanders, obviously without Jalen Hurts in there for most of it. But, yeah, I would – for me, Minnesota and Philly are right there neck and neck. I think those are 3 really good teams in the NFC.
Bobby, I kind of feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've watched a lot of Philly tape, but the addition – we could talk about Barkley and what it's made it for this offense, but the addition of those 2 rookie secondary players. This secondary was awful last year when you and I were and Eric were talking about, at the end of the year, Philadelphia, you can gash them this way, da-da-da-da-da. But, with Mitchell and Dijon, they have done a really, really nice job.
Yeah, this has been this defense in general is night and day. You remember last year, it seems like ages ago, we had the whole Shaq Leonard discussion.
Right.
And he ended up going to Philadelphia because they were just so desperate for it. We need somebody who can do something to slow things down. Mm-hmm. And so they signed Shaq Leonard and were pumped about it. But I mean, at the end of the day, they really struggled on defense last year, particularly to close the year and particularly in the secondary. In fact, behind losing Big Dom for the rest of the season, I'd say that the secondary was probably the second biggest reason that they failed to make the playoffs. But it was a defense that you could take a lot of advantage of, and those holes don't exist this year. Those young corners have been fantastic for them. Their guys in the secondary have been great. It's honestly been a night and day type of thing on both sides of the ball. They're having a ton of success with Saquon Barkley and running the ball and kind of a classic ground and pound run attack. And then they're on the other side of the ball, a completely different defense that is probably a top 3 to 5 unit right now in the NFL. I mean, they're really, really good.
Well, this is what I was having dinner last night with my son with Bennett, and Bennett was talking about Philadelphia, and he was just talking about football in general. And see if you guys like his analogy. He says you want your offensive coordinator to wear joggers, and you want your defensive coordinator to be old as hell.
Ooh.
That's his theory in the NFL now. You want your offensive coordinator to be wearing the joggers, and your defensive coordinator being old as hell.
I think I like it. Do we want a visor on the offensive coordinator too?
No, he's just thinking of every one of these new modern play caller dudes. All wear those jogger pants like they're pulled up over their ankles and stuff like that.
It's a sign of their youth and their forward thinking. They're cutting edge.
Yeah, they're not wearing the Sansa-belt slacks. They're not wearing those, but I had to agree with him on that.
I think it's a good analysis, especially. I mean, Vic Fangio's done really well.
Yeah.
Mike Zimmer is starting to figure some things out here. I'll say
Spags.
And this is sort of Steve Spagnuolo, another one who's had a lot of success. If you look at, I think that there's a interesting thought about defense. Somebody around the league told me this a couple years back, and it's always stuck with me. The idea that I was talking about defensive philosophy with them near the end when Rod Marinelli was here. And they had told me, they said, well, in reality, there's no such thing as like defensive philosophy. I was like, well, what does that mean? And they said, well, I mean, you can have certain concepts that you like or whatever else, but defense is always reactionary. You're reacting to trends that are going on around the league. You're reacting to what offenses are trying to do, and it's always got to be evolving. You can't just say, this is my system, and I'm always going to do it, because offenses are going to figure out a way to poke holes in it. And if you're just stubborn and committed to that, it's not going to work out. Yeah, like, I mean, the Tampa 2 worked at one point, and then there were problems with it later, and, a lot of the zero blitz stuff was working for a while, and then there were problems running into that. And so I do think that's kind of, I think a big part of what you see with defenses is the ability to adapt, or defensive coordinators, the ability to adapt. And I think when you got those older defensive coordinators, you got guys who there's not a whole lot they haven't seen in their time in the NFL, so they are capable of adjusting and figuring out some of these tricks.
Inside the Star with Bobby Belt, live in Philadelphia. All right, we're playing fantasy football here. You have to take a Cowboys pass catcher today. Who's that guy?
Oh, my gosh.
Good time to go get a pretzel now, Bob.
Stepford Williams.
Yeah.
No, let me see here. I don't know. I'm not Turpin. I don't know.
You're going to need.
Brainbuster.
I think you're going to need Turpin to be able to carry the ball and catch a few today.
That's added value, fantasy value.
I think so.
Yeah. So weapon wise, I guess Turpin. But man, that is like I said. This is we were talking about it. This defense is really good here in Philadelphia, and you don't have a lot of weapons at your disposal today.
I would keep him away from Dijon in the slot. Am I saying it right? Dijon in the slot is a killer. and Mitchell on the outside's a killer. And so maybe you think about attacking Slay with whoever you feel like you can. I mean, their safeties have in the past have had some problems. So I'm just trying to match them up against somebody that this might be a day for. Is this a Jake Ferguson day? And is he, because we didn't include your receiving core?
Yeah, he's a pass catcher.
Yeah, I mean, he can be included in
Ball's
that.
got to go downfield a little bit today, man. You cannot throw it 4 yards a clip today.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't know that Cooper Rush has shown a tendency to really lean on the tight ends.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, yeah, Ferguson, absolutely. He's probably your most talented of those pass catchers. But no, they're in a spot today where they're going to need guys to play above their head and play above where they normally do. You mentioned DeJean and Quinion Mitchell. Mitchell obviously has been like going back to Toledo, has been a physical player. Would you, Bryan, at all be interested in the idea of let's put Turpin outside and try and do some stuff, some in-breaking stuff, and see if that quickness and his shorter stature can combat anything that Mitchell wants to do physically?
Man, the problem I have with that is, I do not think that Turpin is a contested ball catcher.
Agree. Do you think he could get some separation in the short areas against Mitchell?
I'm gonna try. I don't know if the slant is necessarily, because Cooper Rush tends to throw the ball behind and kind of low. I've never seen a guy get more balls tipped.
Perfect for Turpin.
Perfect for Turpin.
That's right.
I think in breaking routes today are kind of a bad idea. Really? That's just me, Bobby. That's me.
No.
I don't know how you're. To me, the separation. If you could go for the crossers, if you could go through the crossers and try and run them through, all the mesh and
which more
mesh
of that has returned. More of that's returned recently.
Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking with Turpin. Yeah, specifically on the slant routes. Like you mentioned the timing's got to be big there. Turpin has had success on the very few slant routes they've actually thrown to him.
Yeah,
this
that's
year.
good. No, it's good point. Good point.
Just the foot quickness, and the ability to stem there and get separation. I think that Mitchell would have more problems than DeJean would.
Okay, Bobby, just a one-word answer here. Over under half a catch for Jonathan Mingo today.
Oh gosh, you guys are asking some tough ones.
It's
today.
more than one word.
Over.
Okay, very good. And who's your MVP this year? I'm keeping a tally for all our guests today.
Jordan Lewis.
No, not for the Cowboys. I mean for the NFL.
Jordan Lewis.
I need a real answer.
Honestly, Burrow.
Okay, there it is. Thank you, Bobby. We love you. Enjoy the game. Have a safe trip home.
Love you all. Bye.
All right, we're going back out to Lincoln Financial Field, ladies and gentlemen. Just over 2 hours to kick off. Cowboys in filthy. Let's go behind enemy lines with the legendary play-by-play man of the Eagles, Merrill Reese, joins us next right here on The Fan.
Bell Nunley has been committed to serving their clients for over 4 decades.
Pregame show brought to you by
Bill Nunnally, behind every great company. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Jack Link's Feed Your Wild Side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Tyson Foods. Get your Tyson Cowboy Star Nuggets. Available now. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Pickett takes the snap. He fakes. He gives it off to Barkley. Barkley makes three men miss. He's at the 50. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He is going all the way. Saquon Barkley. 68 yards. Is he amazing? Is he amazing? He is flat out amazing.
Under 2 hours to kick off here on the pregame show. Let's go live to Philadelphia behind enemy lines with the legendary play-by-play voice of the Eagles. It's Merrill Reese, ladies and gentlemen. Merrill, happy game day, man. How are you?
I'm great. Anytime I can visit with my friend Brad Sham and Babe Laufenberg, I'm happy. It's a great day.
Amen to that. And your buddy Bryan Broaddus. I know Broaddus is fired up to chat with you, Merrill, as always. Sure. You just had the Barkley call that we brought you in with. Is that your league MVP, Merrill? Are you giving it to Barkley?
Well, that would be my league MVP, but I think there are some other votes that might go in the direction of Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson.
How hell-bent are the Eagles going to be to try and get him to the all-time Eric Dickerson record here, 268 yards away?
You know, that is a good question because I think, to be honest with you, if they win today or if Washington loses tonight and they are locked into that second seed, the game doesn't mean anything, I think he sits next week. I don't think they'll worry about the record because they can't put him out there next week without putting out the offensive line, the lead offensive line, and it's too much of a risk in a game with no significance.
Hey, Merrill,
Hi, Bryan.
Hey, how you doing, sir? It's always great to hear your voice. I was going to ask you about the coordinators. We always talk about the players, but can you tell us the difference that, say, Vic Fangio has made with this defense? You got that thing rolling right the way you need it. I know a little bit of a hiccup in the fourth quarter last week against the Commanders, but overall, Vic Fangio, can you talk about what he has meant to this Eagles team this year?
Well, I'll tell you, Bryan, you know that cliche that coaches always use. Andy used to use it every time he came in on a Monday. He'd say, it's my job to put the players in position to make plays.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Vic Fangio does.
Yeah.
He puts players in the position and the right position to make plays. And he develops players that haven't done a whole lot before, like Nolan Smith last year.
Right.
Everyone wondered what was he doing as a late first-round draft choice, and he's become a terrific player now. And then you get Zach Bowen, who did nothing in New Orleans. He was a free agent, came over, somebody you expect that maybe he'll play some special teams, fill in a little outside linebacker, and he has been one of the best inside linebackers in the league this year.
Yeah, I was curious about Nolan Smith. It seems like he's starting to come on pretty good. How's the pass rush overall for these Eagles?
It's good. It's good. But, of course, the leader of that group, you know who that is. I mean, he is absolutely unbelievable. And we're talking about Jalen Carter. He is a force.
Who would be your defensive, or really just overall, who would be your rookie MVP this year? Because this rookie class for these Eagles are pretty impressive.
Well, it's got to be Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah.
He was the first-round draft choice, and he is everything as advertised and more. Last week, he gave up the only touchdown pass he's given up all season. In fact, teams are starting to stay away from him. That's how good he is.
Yeah, Merrill, and you also with Cooper DeJean as well, another rookie that was picked in the second round. And last year at this time when we were talking to you, there was a lot of problems with this Eagles secondary. These two rookies have come in and really got this thing solidified.
They're great. They are really great. In fact, had the Eagles picked Cooper DeJean in the first round, nobody would have complained.
Sure.
And they were shocked that they could pick him up in the second round. So between Mitchell and DeJean, I think you have players who are going to be stars here for a long time.
Voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese, with us here on The Fan. What's your Kenny Pickett scouting report? What can we expect from him today? Who's his go-to guy?
Well, his go-to guy would be the same go-to guy that any quarterback in his right mind would have as a go-to guy. I mean, I'm talking about aside from Saquon Barkley, but when you have A.J. Brown and you have Devontae Smith, they are both go-to guys.
And with no Dallas Goedert today, though, Merrill, Grant Calcaterra, he's played well for you. Can you talk about how maybe the Eagles might use him today against the Cowboys?
Yeah, I say that all the time, and then he's lucky if he gets two targets.
I know. It's amazing.
The same with Jahan Dawson, Bryan. I think he can play, but all he does basically is run as a decoy.
Sure.
So what would be, as you start gearing up for the postseason here, Merrill, what would be the one area of the Eagles that you would like to see fortified here? What's kind of the thing that could keep them from going all the way?
The only thing, you never know. You never know. It's a war of attrition. So they've got to stay healthy. And that's the big thing. It's a complete team. I think probably they can use a little more pass rush, but for the most part, this is a very, very complete team.
Nick Sirianni, what's his status right now? Is he beefing with the old tight end Zach Ertz after that game last week?
I know nothing about it. I read some stuff in the paper, but it's much ado about nothing. I pay no attention to that stuff. That's for guys who do talk.
Let me tell you what, if that coach was beefing with you, Merrill, I'd fly to Philly and I'd have a word with him. I'm not going to let him beef with my guy Merrill Reese.
You don't have to worry about that. Nick's a good guy. He really is. He's a nice guy to be around, and the players love him.
I know how rabid things get in Filthy. Is there any chance Sirianni is not back next year, or is he's solidified, he's good?
Boy, I don't think I don't understand how that could even be something that anybody thinks about postseason, because here is a guy who's been here 4 years. He's been to the playoffs each year. He's been to the Super Bowl. His record is unbelievable. He's got one of the highest winning percentages ever. And I don't even understand how that wouldn't happen unless something absolutely catastrophic and unexpected occurred. But I think that if anything, he gets a good contract extension.
Merrill, one of the things that Kenny Pickett is synonymous for is having tiny hands. Have you ever shaken those hands? How does it feel?
Well, they're bigger than mine.
Merrill, but you'd be a good cold weather quarterback.
I could
see toughness with you. Yeah,
I'm tough, but I think he's plenty tough, and he throws a solid football. And you know something? This is a balmy, I use the word balmy, December day.
Yeah.
It's going to be 60 degrees.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. His hands are fine.
and they're rocking the throwback Kelly Green uniforms. Did you put in the call for that? Did you put in the call for that?
I love it. I love it. I love the Kelly Green.
Merrill, do you like that?
It's really a great thing on radio, too.
Yeah, exactly. Those big white numbers for that green, that works well. But Merrill, is there you're a throwback. You're a pillar of this league when it comes to this. Is there, like, when teams do these throwback uniforms and stuff, do you just kind of just shake it off, or do you really do appreciate
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I do. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think their normal uniforms, the midnight green and white, are terrific. I don't like where they wear the green pants. I call them the slow green pants.
Oh.
But whether they have the Kelly green, whether they wear the black uniforms, whatever they wear, it's not what they wear. It's how well they wear them and how they perform.
Well, you always perform at the highest level, Merrill. We appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoy the game today, and good luck on this postseason run.
I appreciate you guys having me, and I always look forward to our visits. Have a great day.
Thank you, Merrill. We'll see you next year.
You bet.
There he goes, behind enemy lines with the voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese, right here on your Cowboys pregame show, inching closer to kickoff now, under 2 hours.
He really is a good dude.
Oh, he's a great guy.
I know he is.
He's a sweetheart.
He's a fun, crusty kind of guy, and I enjoyed being around him. I really did. He'd come in my office, sit down. He asked great questions about the draft, and he wanted to learn about the players and stuff. And
you respect his football eye.
I do respect his football.
He knows ball.
Yeah, like the people I work with, right? Is that what I've been told?
He's got quite the acumen.
Yeah, no, but I think he's right about Barkley, and and these defenders and stuff like that.
Both the Crusties. It's no surprise that both the Crusties going with Barkley as the league MVP.
I know.
I'm going to go ahead and pencil it in for Brad Sham as well.
Yeah, that's it. But Brad might say Burrow. I bet you Brad says Burrow. But Nolan Smith, he's right about Nolan Smith and a little bit more pass rush from there. And they've had some problems. At times with a little bit of that passion. They love 4-man rush. They're really, really Vic Fangio really big on 4-man rush. So Dallas has just got to be ready for that. But we'll see.
Watch out, Terrence Steele. Watch out, Adoga. We're not even going to get to see much.
Well, I think what they did to Cooper Rush last time was clog and cover. 4-man rush, drop 7. 4-man rush, drop 7. We'll see if in fact they get away with that today.
The creators of Buffalo Casino Games bring you NFL Casino Games. Kick off with America's team on and off the reels with Cowboys-themed casino games developed by Aristocrat, a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Do you have a gambling problem? Please contact 1-800-GAMBLER for 21 and over. All right, let's get back out to Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field, and welcome in the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham. Now under an hour and 50 minutes to kick off. Brad joins us next right here on The Fan.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica.
Army up to $100,000. This game and all games to come, remember, tailgates and game day have always been Tyson.
We're an hour and 43 minutes to kick off. Let's go live to Lincoln Financial Field in Filthy and welcome in the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, here on a Cowboys game day. Brad, how you doing, man?
I'm okay. How are you guys?
Doing well. I'm wondering if you think McCarthy might be in a touch of a better mood this week as opposed to, with the postseason elimination last week news.
If we're talking about pregame, I can promise you he's in a better mood.
How about
I can
that?
Guarantee it.
How about
I can
that?
Testify to it personally.
That's awesome. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, I think that he he's certainly resolved to something that he can't change. The irony of last week, Eric, is that, and he actually said, when I walked into his office to tape his pregame show last week, and I just never seen him that way, but one of the first things he said, which he then completely forgot, was, we did this to ourselves.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that is the truth.
Yeah.
The first quarter of the season,
right?
They had, they didn't have Bland, but before Dak got hurt, and all the nonsense that went on certainly before the rash of injuries to the defensive ends in the Giants game, they did that to themselves. You win 2 more games, and you're talking about an entirely different December. So, okay, I do think that with the way they played Sunday night, and haven't had some time to process the whole thing, and he understands. He can look and see how they're responding and how hard they're playing and what's working, and I think he's processed all that, and they're pretty much, they seem to be kind of upbeat and on a positive page. Now I don't know who's going to cover Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
But
well, I tell you, Brad, the thing I was going to ask you that, but is Philadelphia's game plan probably not to make Kenny Pickett have to play in this game? And maybe if it's third down passes and stuff like that, but I think I would be more concerned about getting that steady diet of Barkley, Gainwell, and just trying to kind of take Kenny Pickett out of this game. Because I'm with you. I worry about Dallas in the secondary. But has Dallas improved enough in the last 6 or 7 weeks since these teams last met to defend the run?
So this is interesting. I looked back because these games run together. You're a scout. You're used to. But these games run together for me. So I went back and looked at 34-6.
Right.
And when you look at the individual statistics, what Barkley have? 60
yards, yeah.
60 yards.
Right.
And it wasn't like, Hurts didn't throw for 320 yards.
Sure didn't. Dallas played great in the first half of that football game and got wore down.
And what happened in that game, if you just look at the statistics, you have no idea that was a 34-6 game.
Right.
And what happened in that game was they turned it over 5 times.
Right.
Rush lost 2 fumbles and an interception. Zeke lost a fumble. So that's number one. You might be able to. Now you're not going to hold Barkley to 60 yards every time, but on the other hand, Bryan, I do think they're playing better.
Yes.
Overall defensively than they were in week, I think it was 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that now watching Pickett last week, my impression was, okay, this is a guy who hadn't played very much.
Mm-hmm.
You certainly see what the Steelers, he was a first-round pick.
Right.
So you certainly see what they saw. He's got some athleticism. He can throw the ball. He's kind of fearless. Now Kellen's had now a full week to put in a game plan for him. What makes sense is exactly what you said, Barkley and Gainwell. And then on the other hand, what do we got? Anthony Booth playing corner?
Yeah, Andrew Booth, yeah.
Andrew Booth, yeah. John Wilkes Booth, whoever it is.
Yeah. It's not good, Mrs. Lincoln.
Yeah. Yeah, especially at Lincoln Financial, right?
At Lincoln Financial, exactly. We can tie this thing together really well if you want to.
We can keep going, friends.
We can keep going, yeah. We're good at this.
There's a mismatch if the Cowboys can't pressure.
Right.
And that's I don't have to tell you, that is an outstanding offensive line.
Yeah.
And so if they can't pressure Pickett, then he's got a chance to pick them apart. So that's got to be in Kellen's mind when he's putting a game plan together. But the thing that makes the most sense is don't put the kid in the deep freeze, but don't ask him to win the game. Let's see if we can win the game with Barkley, and it's up to the Cowboys to stay away from the turnovers, do the best they can defensively in containing the run, and then they've got to generate some offense somehow. Now, Dowdle had 53 yards.
He sure
in that
did.
game.
That's my hope.
And so, can you get 60 yards out of him, and then can you find a way? They just play. Slay is having such a good year, and those two, although Nakobe Dean might not play today, but those two linebackers are playing so well, and the two defensive tackles we don't even have to talk about. That's why they're 12-3. Yeah. So, but there's ways. You just can't make any mistakes. That's the big thing.
Voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, live in Philadelphia with us here on The Fan. Brad, what have you noticed about the way Mike Zimmer has used Micah Parsons this year? Any different from Quinn? Do you feel like he's using him even maybe better than what Quinn was doing?
Differently, I would say. I don't want to go ahead and say better yet, Eric, until we're done and look back and have a chance to evaluate everything. And I do think this comes up every now and then. But I think it's more important than maybe we give it credit for, and that is that Mike had to learn the players as well as the players learning Mike. Mm-hmm. So it took – you can't do it anymore in training camp. You can't. You certainly can't do it in the off season when they're wearing shorts. Mm-hmm. And even in training camp, you're limited in contact, and you've got to go out and play real games. And you think but until you see, and it took them a third of a season, the players, to learn what language Zimmer was speaking. And then he had to be learning what the players could do. So I do think that he has asked different things of Micah, some of that by necessity because of the injuries to the other defensive ends. Don't forget, when Micah was a rookie, he was an off-the-ball linebacker who could occasionally rush the passer. Mm-hmm. And in, I believe, week 2, you can check me on that, but I believe it was week 2, DeMarcus Lawrence broke his foot on Wednesday. Yeah. On Wednesday.
Yeah.
And they were getting ready to go play the Chargers. And I think I'll always think one of the most genius things I ever saw Dan Quinn do was, okay, we just lost DeMarcus Lawrence. Hey, Micah, how would you like to be a pass rusher? Now, interestingly, he was not exclusively a pass rusher in that game. Matter of fact, I remember one play that he actually was a cornerback. But he didn't line up as a corner, but he dropped off and covered a wide receiver. But from that time, he showed such explosiveness as a pass rusher, and they didn't have Lawrence, that he then became something that they needed and that he really liked, Parsons really liked doing. And then I think, so that was in, 21? And I think for the next 2 years, Micah got all carried away with being, the edge rusher sack master. I do think, Eric, that what Zimmer has done, I'm not going to say better, but I think differently. I think Micah has played a little bit more at other positions once he came back. I think Mike, and Dan did some of this, but I think Mike's done a really good job of finding different places to line him up. And the reason that I loved him as a college player and wanted the Cowboys to draft him was that you could just see that he was all over the field. He was sideline to sideline. He could rush, he could drop. There wasn't anything he couldn't do. And the only disadvantage about making him a pass rusher is that it just takes away all of the other tools in the toolbox. Now, you have to have other people who can rush the passer, or you have to have the kind of scheme, and Zimmer, I think, is good at this, that dials up blitzes, not exclusively, but just at the right time to get enough pressure so that you can have Micah doing different things. So I think that he's used him a little differently. I think it's been partly because of what he had available with all of the injuries, and it's one of the reasons I hope that he gets and chooses to have both of those things another year to work with him, because I'd be really interested to see what they come up with next year.
Brad, I'm keeping a tally for all of our guests today. Who would be your vote for this year's league MVP?
Patrick Mahomes. If you watch them, and I understand Barkley, I have thought Barkley for a good part of the year, and then when you watch the Bills play and you watch Allen, you say, oh my gosh. But if you watch Kansas City nail down home field, they did not want to have to play a championship game in Buffalo.
No.
And if you just watch them play, I don't know what they are without him. Their defense is good. Sometimes it's very good. The rest of the offense is anywhere from pretty good to okay. He's a difference maker for me. And under the circumstances of the pressure that's on a defending champion, the fact that they've put together the best record in the league in home field, and the way he has helped them win games and be in position for other people to make plays to win games, I'd vote for Mahomes.
And finally, over under half a catch for Jonathan Mingo today.
I'm so perplexed.
That's a great answer.
Let's go way out on a ledge and say 4.
Oh, I love it. Okay, put in the call over
On
for
the
Jonathan
over.
Mingo.
There we go. I
That's
like
fantastic.
it. Like
no
it.
CeeDee Lamb today. All right, we appreciate it, Brad. Enjoy the game.
Okay, boys.
We'll be
Have a great
listening.
day.
Yes,
Thanks.
sir. Voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, live with us here on the pregame show at Lincoln Financial Field. He's up in the booth enjoying himself, and now it's time to get down on that grass and welcome in Fox sideline reporter Pam Oliver to the program. Pam, happy game day. How are you?
Hey, doing great, you guys. It's turning out to be a beautiful day. It was supposed to be in the 40s early in the week. It's in the 60s. I'm just giving you a little weather report. The clouds seem to be moving out to the west. I don't know, east, west, south, same difference. But we're looking forward to this game today. And Cowboys, I think, are bringing some good stuff into this game. And I think the Eagles fear them in some regard. So this should be an interesting one.
Well, how does that work then, Pam? When you're going on a road trip, you got to bring a couple of different outfits to prepare for things, or because sometimes they surprise you.
Yes, I am known as a heavy traveler. My bags typically weigh 57 pounds. I'm a just-in-case person. Let me just, in case I spill something on this, let me have this just in case. So I'm one of those heavy packer type people, and I feel like I'm prepared. I'm a little overdressed at the moment. I have on some layers I don't need, but it's just part of it. Nobody really pays attention to what I'm wearing, right? Or how my hair is, or how my makeup's going, if my eyelashes have fallen off. So none of the above. And that's just the way it goes with the sideline biz.
Hey, Pam, you're a Hall of Famer in our book, and have been just such a part of our lives as the coverage and the development of the NFL game from a television standpoint. I wonder from you, how much has the sideline reporting over the years changed from when you first started to where we're at today? And do you like the direction of it?
I love the direction of it. I think the league is making sure that sideline reporters are not just the third member of the group. They've encouraged us to do in-game reports, in-game interviews. When I was coming up, that was kind of unheard of. I was watching the game yesterday and saw the sideline reporter interviewing Joe Burrow moments before the game, and I thought, that's cool. Patrick Mahomes has done it. So I think the direction of sideline reporting is really heading upward in a lot of ways. Some maybe from back in my day were a little more restricted, but now I think the league feels like it shows the players and the coaches in a very good light when the audience is able to have this access to them moments before or during a game. It's cool.
It is cool. Fox sideline reporter Pam Oliver with us here on The Fan. What is the art of doing that halftime interview with the coach when maybe he's a little ticked off and you're like, man, Is there even a good question I can ask this guy right now?
You have to read the room for sure. You may have some questions going in specifically, but if something went down moments before the half and, Mike McCarthy is not in the best of moods, then you may have to alter some of the things that you want to ask him simply because you can anticipate what he's going to say. Ask and answer a question is how I was trained coming up in journalism. So I don't like to waste their time. So I try to be thoughtful with my questions. But also keeping in mind what the audience may want to know. So that's a part of my job. I just try not to waste their time. You know, you can hear some of these questions sometimes. You go, why are you asking that? And I don't always succeed, but I do definitely make the effort to bring some information that people at home may want to know.
Pam, you're going to see a game today for the Cowboys' sake, without CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Do you have any really good thoughts and plans for how Dallas can move the football today without CeeDee Lamb? Or, is Philadelphia defense is very good, even if CeeDee Lamb was playing.
That is very true. It's one of those situations where CD was going to get his regardless. But talking to Mike McCarthy, it's going to be Cooks, number 1, Turpin, number 2, Tolbert at 3. And these guys really have to step up. But one thing that really gives me chills, you guys, is just how the Cowboys are playing. They're playing so hard and playing with so much heart. I think you can throw some of the stats out of the window because when they line up, it's 11 on 11. And I think the thing that the Cowboys bring in is a lot of that wanting to spoil the party for sure. But as Micah has told us numerous times, you're playing for your family, you're playing for your fans, you're playing for those kids at home that look up to you, you're playing for each other, the brotherhood. So I think the Cowboys will be able to move the ball. I think Dowdle will obviously be key to that, but we also understand and respect the fact that Philly's fielding a very good defense at this time. But then there's always that intangible, and I feel that some things could be going in the Cowboys' favor. They have nothing to lose, so why not? I asked A.J. Brown this week about how dangerous he feels the Cowboys are, and he feels like they're going to challenge them. So I don't think they're coming into this game at all thinking, oh, well, that might be a gimme. I don't think that's the case at all.
Well, Pam, from the Eagles side of things, what have you gleaned about how hard they're going to be pushing to get Saquon the rushing record?
From what we talked to Nick Sirianni about, he says if it happens, it happens. They're not, if he has a great game, that's perfect, but they're not necessarily designing things to where Saquon has to get the ball. Saquon's got to get some big runs. Saquon's going to get some big runs. So I think they're not necessarily looking at it. They want him to get it. They would be happy if he got it, but they're also not necessarily game planning for that, or if it happens, it happens, and everybody will be happy about it. Maybe not the Cowboys, but, he's got a couple of games to get that done. Eric Dickerson would obviously, root for him not getting it, but I do feel that he's going to be able to get some good runs in today, just simply because he's Saquon.
Pam Oliver live in Philadelphia with us here on The Fan. Pam, is there even a close second to Philly in terms of hostile environment and just rabid, wild animal fans?
The answer is no. The answer is no.
You
it's
said that quietly, Pam.
Different breed of folk.
Yeah.
Let me just put it that way. It's a different breed of folk. Where I'm standing right now is behind where the Cowboys will be, and the seats aren't that far from here, and just listening to the venom sometimes, you're just like, wow, where is your mother?
Yeah. She's right next to him.
Your mother with that mouth? I know, sitting right next to him, encouraging him, prodding him along, or her.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a different kind of crowd, but it's part of it. It's part of the whole war with the Philadelphia Eagles, and you expect that going in. And to me, I've gotten some very rude comments throughout the years, and you just learn to just keep going. You don't acknowledge them, you don't encourage them, you just keep it moving, for sure.
That's what I was going to ask you, Pam. I'm sure that you keep eyes forward. Do you ever have anybody say something that makes you chuckle, that you just kind of smile to yourself and just kind of keep the eyes forward?
I always, it seems like, especially here, a funny experience I had, I was walking by and this crowd was like, this group of folks like, oh, Pam Oliver, we love you. Yeah. And the guy next to him goes, you up? So that's my experience from the link for sure. And even to the days back at the vet, you guys.
Oh, the vet.
I'm old enough to remember that old vet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you just kind of smile and but sometimes I don't even make eye contact.
You can't.
We have these IFBs in our ears, and I blast mine, so I don't hear the good or the bad.
Well, Pam, we are keeping a tally with all of our guests today.
I think I heard.
Okay, so who would be the Pam Oliver nominee for 2024 NFL League MVP?
I would have to say Saquon.
Thank you, Pam.
Drinking I heard Brad's. I heard what Brad had to say, but I am definitely thinking Saquon because just the way he came in, the way he's resurrected his career, the importance of his role on this offense. A lot of people felt like their ground game definitely needed a boost, and he's come in and done just some incredible things. You wonder how much he had left, the knee injury from a few years ago, how much he had left, and the way things had gone with the Giants toward the end was just abysmal. But I think a lot of the Eagles players would definitely consider him their MVP in a lot of ways. You can always point to their offensive line, but it's not a group thing. But I think Saquon is definitely the man.
Well, Pam, we hope that all your playoff assignments are indoor.
That would be
But even though
great.
you're a warrior, I've seen you at Lambeau stand there and do a great job, but hope all your assignments are indoors.
I appreciate that, guys. It's always a pleasure. I really enjoy it. But in my opinion, you got the best sideline reporter, and that would be Christy.
Thank you very much.
Amen to that.
She is. The scoop is the best. Thank you.
She is.
Yes.
Pam, we love you. Thank you so much for the time.
Love
Enjoy the
you
game.
guys. Happy holidays to you.
You
and
too.
We'll see you soon.
Likewise. All right, there she goes. Fox sideline reporter Pam Oliver live in Philadelphia. And that's the perfect transition because we are going to be getting to Christy Scales here, giving us the scoop coming up in just a few minutes. But, Broaddus, I wanted to ask you because we're
Her
joking.
MVP was right, by the way. She knows ball.
She knows ball.
She knows ball.
So far.
She's like all me, Brad. She's seen a lot. She's seen a lot.
She has. We have 3 votes for Saquon Barkley
Yeah,
here
how
on the
about that?
pregame show. Broaddus, Merrill Reese, of course.
You're gonna count out. You can't count Merrill's vote, can you?
I have to, man. Rules are rules.
Okay.
I had a pretty good idea where he was going to go with it.
I did too.
Knew he was going to homer it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Pam there with the Barkley vote. So it's 3 votes for Barkley,
All
1
the
for
Crusties.
Burrow, and 1 for Mahomes. We'll see what Christy Scales and Babe Laufenberg have to say about this. But Ryan Flanoy.
Yeah.
I'm curious because, he had some nice moments last week. 3 catches, 41 yards. He had that 26-yard gain that was really, really nice as well. Could he be a guy we're joking about Mingo and stuff? But, with Stephen Jones with us on Friday, that was the guy that he threw out there.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. And it's going to be a tough one for everybody that lines up and plays wide receiver and runs a route today. We've talked about Mitchell, DeJean, Slay. They just don't give you space, and they don't give you that the run after catch. If I'm going after somebody, I said I was going after Slay, but I just kind of feel like, though, that this assignment, especially, rookie on rookie, but these guys, Mitchell, DeJean, they're battle tested. They're not rookies anymore. They've covered some of the best in the league, and they've done a great job. You would like to believe that somebody like that would step up. I think Pam gave you a great nugget with how they kind of feel like that they're going to go with Cooks, and Tolbert, Turpin being, she was saying that Turpin was the second and Tolbert was the third. So, we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, it'd be nice that one of these guys step up. But I have my doubts against the secondary right now.
Yeah, you and me both. All right, hour and 20 minutes to kick off. Let's get the scoop from the best in the business. Christy Scales, live and filthy, next right here on The Fan.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman here, the official pitmaster of the Dallas Cowboys. For me,
Buffalo Wild Wings. Blockchain.com. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
All right, we're under an hour and 15 minutes to kick off. Let's go live to Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field, and welcome in the best in the business, Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales, giving us the scoop here on a Week 17 Cowboy game day. Christy, how are you?
I'm doing well. This is a reward for clean living. 60 degrees. The sun is actually out now. It's been mostly a cloudy day with the clouds and raining earlier. But as Pam Oliver said just a few minutes ago, we're really catching a break. But I think that the wind is going to be a factor as we go along, guys, because it's about 9 miles an hour right now, but it's gusting to up around 15. And I just spoke with Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey, and the wind, if you look up at the flags up above the stadium, they're whipping pretty good, and it's coming from the south.
Okay.
But down here at field level, it's coming from the north. And so it's going to be tough. The way that Brandon Aubrey is kicking right now as the specialists go through warm-ups. He's lining up for a 50-yarder right now. Give me a second. I'll let you know how he does. But I know that Mike McCarthy today, if he wins the coin toss, I wouldn't be surprised if he defers, because I know that he's going to want the wind in the fourth quarter, because the temperature is nice, but the wind is the issue. And now from 50 yards, I can see the ball knocking down. Brandon Aubrey was good, but normally that ball would be a little bit longer coming off of his leg, so it's going to be an issue kicking when they're headed towards the north end.
Okay, Christy, I'm always interested in this, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. Which way is that on my TV screen? Is that going
on
to
your TV screen? I think that's going to be right to left.
Okay,
right to left on your TV screen, I think.
Right to left, I'm going to have trouble. Left to right, I'm going to throw the ball and kick ball better. Then is that
yes?
Right? Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, just want to make sure I know which way I'm going here, for sure.
I love it.
But the thing is, it's always a swirling wind, too, and a crosswind, and they have the standing room only
stadium.
areas.
It's a weird one.
Yeah, because it's 3 levels, but one of the levels, the corner of the end zone, it's just one.
Yeah.
And so that's where the standing room only is, as the stairwells go up between the second and the third level. And so when the wind comes through there, man, it really whips through. So it's something that will keep you posted throughout the game, because it's going to change as we get further into the afternoon.
Christy, what's the plan for the cornerback spot today?
Well, with Amani Oruwariye being placed on injured reserve yesterday with that foot injury, Andrew Booth is the next man up. And so when they're in base defense, the original plan going in is that Booth will be on the outside opposite Deron Bland, with Jordan Lewis in the slot. They expect to be in nickel most of the game. If you see Jordan Lewis out there on the outside as the game goes along, that's not good, because they want to give Booth the first shot to play outside and have Jordan Lewis playing his normal slot area. Of course, he's working through that elbow injury and going to wear that brace again on his left elbow. But, with the AO going on the IR, that's 4 cornerbacks that are on injured reserve for the Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs, Kalen Carson, Josh Butler, and now Oruwariye. And then you also have Mukwamu, who's going to be a backup today. He'd been playing a little more safety and kind of down in the box and stuff. I think we're going to see quite a bit of Mukwamu today, but it'll be more in those situational type things. And then they elevated from the practice squad Troy Pride Jr., who's a 4th-year player out of Notre Dame, and he would be the backup.
Christy, I kind of would feel like that if you wanted to play with your best 3, I think Izzy over Booth would be my option out there. I know what you're talking about, him playing in some situations and stuff like that, but maybe even Jordan, because we've seen Jordan Lewis play a little bit on the outside. Last week we got a little travel in too. I don't know if that maybe in some situations that because they travel with Evans on a couple of snaps.
Yeah,
so.
I'm expecting that we are going to have some traveling with A.J. Brown. I think that Bland's going to travel with A.J.
There you go. I agree with you on that.
Oh, I like it. Okay, Christy Scales with us here on The Fan. Any surprise inactives? Hopefully Kendricks is back.
Kendricks is back. So instead of inactives, can I say who's actually getting to play this time around?
that'd be great.
Brings
Let's
to be
go,
the bearer of good news instead of doom and gloom, usually in these injury segments. So Kendricks, after missing last week's game with a calf injury, he's back at middle linebacker, so that's good. Wanye Thomas, the backup safety and special teams ace, who had been out since Thanksgiving with a knee injury, he returns, and so that's going to be a big boost on special teams. And then Awesome Richards will be available as a backup along the offensive line. So he was designated to return from reserve injured and then had practiced, and so he is available as a backup today. So with him coming back, that means that on your inactive list, Matt Willetsko goes back to inactive. TJ Bass is unavailable to play because of the thigh injury, so you don't have him at guard. Keeman Hall, we need to mention him because I said AO going on injured reserve and you're down a cornerback. Well, Hall would have been one of your backup cornerbacks, but he didn't practice this week because of a hamstring injury, and he's unable to go today. Princeton Fant at tight end, inactive, and then Deuce Vaughn, and along the defensive line, Tyrus Wheat and Justin Rogers. So once again, your inactives are Bass, Hall, Fant, Willetsko, Deuce Vaughn, Wheat, and Rogers.
Christy, I know you get folks to talk to you about things. Any idea what they thought about Kenny Pickett when he came out? I'm always curious about those scouting days when they're talking about an opponent.
They like the way that he manages games.
Oh, you got
they
me
like
something
that.
here.
They
All
like
right.
that. I do. They like his competitiveness. But and you can appreciate this, Bryan. But the thing that they were concerned with from a scouting perspective was the small hand size.
Yeah.
So
the gloves. Hence the gloves.
Yeah, hence actually that's exactly what this person said to me. One reason why he wears the gloves, no matter what the temperature or conditions, really. So I think that the hand size was a big concern. But one of these guys with some moxie and with that competitive fire and everything, and good game manager. But Cowboys catching a bit of a break today in regards to having Pickett instead of Jalen Hurts, because just talking with some of the defensive coaches about Saquon Barkley, and I think that they would do the vote for MVP after watching film this week. I think hands down they'd probably go with Saquon Barkley, but it's like when you have RPO and it's Jalen Hurts,
it's different.
A handoff to Barkley. Is it going to be Hurts?
Yeah.
With Pickett, you don't have to worry about Pickett.
Yeah,
that's
right.
You know that it's going to go to Barkley. So, but Saquon, I think that he would have my vote too, guys. I'll go ahead and jump the gun here and say that he would be my MVP vote as well. And by the way, that reverse hurdle earlier this season against Jacksonville, as he was wearing the Kelly Green uniforms, they're wearing Kelly Greens today.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Thank you, Christy. You're the best. We'll catch up with you next hour.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that'll do it for us here before we get back out to Lincoln Financial.
Crusties are lining
we'll
up.
hear from Mike McCarthy and more next on The Fan.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking.
end zone, 1 for 1, caught the ball, touchdown! Touchdown, Cowboys!
With Brad Sham, Babe Laufenberg, Christy Scales, Eric Chiofalo, and Bryan Broaddus. Brought to you by
Deutsch Family Wine and Spirits, official wine of the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T, the official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
Also brought to you by
Bill Nunnally, behind every great company. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Jack Link's Feed Your Wild Side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Tyson Foods. Get your Tyson Cowboy Star Nuggets. Available now. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus.
All right, it's a Week 17 football party here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Great to have you in the official pregame show of America's team. We got the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus, myself, Eric Chiofalo, and we'll hear from Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy coming up here in just a few minutes. Cowboys in Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field, with Kenny Pickett and Cooper Rush being the headliners. Man, it's a heavyweight bout. Broaddus is pretty exciting stuff. And the Eagles wearing the Kelly green uniforms today. And you know I hesitate to say anything kind about that team, that city. But gosh, those uniforms are pretty dang gorgeous. I would say not as maybe not as intimidating as the usual darker green color that they rock with.
Yeah.
But I think it's a sharper look.
I just hope that group that used to wear that Kelly green doesn't show up on defense. The Reggie Whites, Jerome Browns, Seth Joyner,
They got a couple of horses on that defense today.
Eric Allen, when that group was wearing those Kelly greens. They were
flying around.
They were flying around and hurting you. And this is going to be a real challenge for the Cowboys today. There's no question. You're playing shorthanded. You're playing shorthanded receiver. You're really playing shorthanded in the secondary at cornerback spot again. Heck, what am I saying? We've been shorthanded for 16 weeks now at cornerback. I mean, it just has not been what you thought it was going to be. They've had so many problems with injuries, but they've played through a lot of them. You've had a lot of young players that have kind of stepped up. For a while there, it was like, okay, season's over. What do you want to see? Want to see the young guys play? Well, you've seen the young guys play for 17 weeks now. That's really where this has happened. It's really unfortunate that the Cowboys and the Eagles here are not battling for a playoff spot or the division. But, hey, give the Commanders a lot of credit for the quarterback situation, changing their coaches out. That place is going the right way there, as much as I hate to say it. But Philadelphia, once again, they went out and made some bold moves. They went out and changed both coordinators. They went out and got Saquon Barkley. They went out and did the things they had to do to make their football team better. You went backwards in that way. The injuries are a big part of things, but they're things that you just did not do good enough to kind of make your team more competitive at the end.
Let's dig into the preview brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, no Lamb today offensively for the Cowboys, and the Eagles' defense has been awesome this year. They fell apart in the fourth quarter, giving up 22 points last week to the Commanders. They end up losing that game, so they're coming in with a bad taste in their mouth. Dick Fangio always knows what he's going to do here, trying to slow down the Cowboys' quarterbacks. It's worked versus Dak over the years, and it's certainly, Cooper Rush, he's the worst version of himself when he plays the Eagles. What is the plan offensively today?
Yeah, I think that Brad Sham brought something up really interesting, and I've kind of felt like that's where this team is going to have to go. And he brought up the how do you run the football effectively today? I just don't think throwing the football is a great option today with the receivers that you have. Heck, somebody might surprise me out there. Somebody might come up and make a play or two. Last time these two teams met, clog and cover. I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of cover too.
Cooper Rush, 45 yards passing that game.
Yeah, that you just can't have that today. Cooper Rush has played better since then.
Last week he was awesome.
He was. He's played very, very well. This secondary presents a different challenge. Nolan Smith rushing the passer, the inside guys rushing the passer. You just don't want to get into a game where all of a sudden it's throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. They have got to be able. It's really not even so much about balance. If you said I could do one thing really, really, really well today, it'd be run the football. Just run the football. And I think that Philadelphia's probably got the same plan. they've got a little bit different motivation because of Saquon Barkley and him trying to get to the record.
Yeah, 268 rushing yards away from breaking Dickerson's all-time.
They won't admit it. They won't admit it, but that is something that, that it's not very often that you get to this level of having an opportunity. And I think they would like to get him that record. If they could get him close, that would be a big, big mark. And I think they're going to try and do it. They don't want Kenny Pickett to have to play in this game because the last several weeks, when Dallas played Philadelphia 7 weeks ago, Dallas did a hell of a job getting after the passer. Pressure from Oso Odighizuwa. He was able to kind of take advantage of their center a little bit. They had some. Micah Parsons had some pressures. They're going to miss Overshown in this game. There's no question. He had 11 tackles. He had 2 sacks. He had pressures there. This is going to be now with Maris Leefall, Kendricks. Can they stay off blocks and can they make tackles? You can't let Saquon Barkley get going. But I just have a feeling that Kellen Moore is going to do everything in his power to make as many simple throws for Kenny Pickett in this game and try and give Dallas a steady diet of Saquon Barkley and control the game that way.
Barkley has the milestone lurking around that corner, and so does Rico Dowdle. Rico 97 yards away from being the first undrafted player in Cowboys history to reach 1,000 rushing yards. So we'll see how much Rico can put a dent in that today. We're now under 60 minutes to kickoff, and let's go out to Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. We have the Coach's Corner. Voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, standing by with Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. That's next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Apply now to the...
14 Cowboys in Philadelphia. We'll hear from head coach Mike McCarthy in just a moment. We'll go into the owner's box with the Jones boys as well here in a few minutes. But Broaddus, I just saw on Twitter Bobby Belt tweeting out a photo. It looks like the legendary statistician for the Cowboys, Bob Thomas, has you covered with that wonderful pretzel that you like. He's got it bagged up and sitting there in the booth for you.
How about that?
That's pretty special.
Bob Thomas is like
he's the man.
Working with that whole crew. I mean, I know Zach Rowe is new to the program there, but man, they do just such a great job. And Bob, it makes your job so easy when you work with them. You show up, you give your analysis and stuff. But Brad, Bob, the whole crew has just been. I really do appreciate them thinking about it. That pretzel, by the way, is totally worth it.
I know you're serious about your food. If you're willing for that thing to hop on a bird from Filthy to here, and you're still going to consume it. I'm just telling you, man, with beer cheese on that thing, that is a glorious thing to enjoy. I like your style. All right, let's go out to Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia right now. It's the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, standing by with Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy.
Guys, thanks very much. Last road game of the year, and Mike McCarthy has said a lot of words about C.D. Lamb in the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to ask you to say a couple more. Last time we'll talk about him this year, but have you this year learned anything more about him as a player and or competitor beyond what you thought you knew coming into the year?
I would say as a player, as multiple, as a receiver that I've had the opportunity to work with. I mean, you can get him the ball any way possible, and he's just so dynamic. Obviously, is a huge part of our offense. But as a competitor, you always love this competitiveness. But just to watch him travel this path that he had to go this year with the shoulder, just to show up week in and week out, not being able to do much during the course of the week, and still being our feature receiver. Just so impressive the season that CD put together.
You've got 2 games to look at a bunch of other receivers. Not all receivers have the same skill sets, and few of them have exactly CD's skill sets. Talk about a couple of the guys who can do some of the things that he does, who you really want to look at.
Yeah, definitely. I think just like anything, when you have a dynamic player like CD, you don't just replace him and plug somebody into his role and responsibility. That's not practical, but it really is. It's a great opportunity, Brad. You can go right down the line of all the guys. I mean, Brandon Cooks obviously is going to get more opportunities. Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks. Turpin, Turple, definitely get some more receiver opportunities. So all these guys, Jonathan Mingo, excited to see him get more reps and hopefully get more opportunities. So there's more of a plug and play within the formations. At the end of the day, we have to run the concepts and schemes to go defeat, the Eagles defense. And that's the priority, and we have confidence that our guys can do that.
So here's one way that complementary football comes in to looking at a game before it ever starts. Their quarterback's different style, not just a different player. As the play caller against them, how does that enter into your thinking when you're putting a plan together and calling the game?
Well, I think in a normal flow of a game, it's it obviously what you would think, because when you play with your backup quarterback, there's a common reasoning there where you have to play a little more closer to the vest. We've been fortunate with Cooper, to grow and stay, pretty true to our offense. But we'll see what Philadelphia does. When Pickett played against Washington, they kept going. They still threw the ball about the same rate, of time and so forth. So if we get McKee today, which we're expecting, also, so we'll see how they play. But this team is built on running the football and stopping a run. So their time of possession is up there tops in the league, and I think that's the number one characteristic of a complementary football. So I don't see them changing, is my point. They're going to run the football regardless of who the quarterback is, and I think that'll definitely be their approach today.
Not in as much depth as you and your staff would have done, but I did go back and look at the first game. The score was lopsided. The statistics don't back up the score except for the turnovers. That seemed to be a thing that really changed the game. I don't know if you're going to hold Barkley to 60 yards again today, but If you eliminated the turnovers and played roughly the same way, would you be satisfied with that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the first turnover obviously led to points early in the game, but then if you go through the first half, it was a ball game where we felt at halftime, okay, hey, now let's turn it up a notch, and clearly the giveaways in the third quarter changed the whole flow of the game. So. And then you get into that point too, where, are you taking a risk on fourth down, which we did, and then you don't convert that, and then the score got lopsided at the end. And that's, we've had a couple of games that, this year, New Orleans, Baltimore, and Philadelphia. The Baltimore one we were able to get back. So, that's why, the ebb and flow and the final evaluation of every game is looked at, and that's why those key decisions are critical. So because we're not trying to lose by less. We're trying to win the game. So that's always the case. But sometimes when you go for it, you play a little more high risk, and that clearly I thought that second half was an indication of that.
Last thing doesn't have anything to do with the game, but it does have to do with something that Cowboy fans are interested in. Darren Woodson is a finalist. Again, those of us who watched his whole career and know him real well personally are thrilled for him and hoping very much that he gets elected. But you and Darren came into the league at about the same time. So you had a chance to watch his whole career unfold. What are your impressions of him?
Oh, I thought he was an incredible player. Had a chance to, I was with the Chiefs in 1995, came down and played the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day, and he just, to me, jumped off on the field. And you had Dion over there playing to our left side, too. But, yeah, Darren was well before his time. Was a linebacker in college, but, he could obviously play strong safety, but he clearly had nickel skills. So, I mean, he was, where base defense was 85% of the time, and sub defense was probably 15 to 20% of the time, and he had the ability to play a nickel type characteristics from a strong safety position. So he's a great matchup for your third receiver. I remember for the tight ends, and just tough as nails. It's an incredible player and so deserving of a Hall of Fame.
Have you gotten to know him at all in the last 5 years, and just to talk about the kind of person he is?
Well, just a little bit around the facility, and I think just like anything, he has an incredible reputation. I mean, there's not anybody in the Cowboys organization that does not say great things about Darren. So his reputation speaks for itself.
All right, Mike, appreciate it. Good luck today.
All right, thank you, Brad.
All right, fellas, back to you.
Thank you, Brad Sham. All right, we're under 40 minutes to kick off Cowboys and Eagles. Let's go back to Lincoln Financial Field. Into the owner's box we go with the Jones boys. That's next. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw. Wow.
thinks that McCarthy will remain Cowboys coach next year, and he deserves to be the Cowboys coach. I just saw Jay Glazer as well, noting that the entire Cowboys coaching staff have their contracts expiring in 2 weeks. And other teams do have McCarthy on their wish list if McCarthy and the Cowboys don't extend the deal.
Mike and Jay Glazer are best friends. And and good for Jay to step up and talk about his friend,
have his buddies back there,
back, and say that he's got other opportunities, which we'll see, and but you'll get a decision here soon enough.
All right, Broaddus will give us the Zebra report for today's game, Cowboys and Eagles, here in just a moment. But right now we throw things over to Christy Scales live at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia for today's Owner's Box. Christy, take it away.
Well, guys, it's double trouble. We are 2 for 1 with the Jerry Joneses today, Jerry Jones Sr. and Jerry Jones Jr. here at Lincoln Financial Field. And I want to ask you guys today what you want to see from your young receivers, because with C.D. Lamb not playing these final 2 games, I know these are extra chances for like the Flournoys and the Mingos and the Tolberts of the world.
Well, I'll speak first, Jerry, but jump in here. By the way, I'm fresh off being mad. I don't know why they have all these Eagle fans on our sideline, because I have to address them. And so one of them congratulated me, said, keep doing the job you're doing this year. Said, have your standard game against the Eagles out here. So that's what you get to hear when you're up here. Now, I'm not going to mention what I said back, but with some good interplay out here. But they do put about 200 Eagles right here on your sideline for you to get to mingle with. But, I'm really pleased with our weather, and it looks like it's going to hold. And if so, then that won't compromise Rush, and we'll let him get that ball to those young receivers that we're talking about. And that's going to be important to us today. And I'll tell you what, I think that we've got the best quarterback out here today. So let's see what it brings. Jerry, I know you're in the city of brotherly love. Do you love all these green up here?
Yeah, because there's friendly, you get some of that wrath rained down on you as well, Jerry. So is this the toughest place to be a Jones among all the NFL venues?
Well, we've had a few rough ones, and I went to school in Washington, D.C., and so that was the land of the Washington football team, and that was had its challenges. But Philadelphia, no question about it, it just shows the passion that the NFL has with each of its teams, the passion you see in Philly. One time we were playing the Raiders, and this was back out in L.A. when they were still in L.A., and the concourse, you walked out to go to the restroom. Well, we were dressed working that day, sport coats, slacks, walked into the bathroom, and a Raider fan, sat there and kind of just looked over at me as we were doing what you do in the bathroom and said, "Why are you dressed like that?" And right then I knew I had a problem, and I just needed to be quiet, get done, and get out of there. But it can get risky on the simplest things.
Hey, Jerry, you were saying that today you think that you have the best quarterback out here, and of course the Eagles are working with Kenny Pickett, their backup quarterback, but their offensive coordinator is someone you know very well, Kellen Moore, coached for the Cowboys. You think Kellen may have some extra tricks up his sleeve today for you and the Cowboys?
Well, he knows our personnel very well, and you bet he does, and we have all the respect in the world for Kellen. And, boy, he's really done a great job this year. So he'll be a challenge. This is one day I wish he weren't on the other sideline. But we all know that at the end of the day in the NFL, it usually boils down to execution and which guys make the fewest mistakes, and that really speaks volumes for the quarterbacks. I think our guy hopefully will make less mistakes than Pickett does for them, and that could be a difference maker. This is an important game for us. If we can win it, it'll really add to the way we're finishing up this year.
I want to go back to wide receiver for just one more moment. Can you take us behind the scenes of what it's like with the factors in deciding to shut CD down? He had been such a warrior since that injury in the Atlanta game, and what that kind of conversation is like.
Well, everybody was reading the same mail as to what his injury was. And it was showing signs that the more he played, the worse the injury was getting, which isn't good, especially since it doesn't need surgery to heal now, and will heal great or better, I guess you might say, that without surgery. But if he continued playing, there was a risk of surgery. That would have put him over into rehabbing into next year. Really, the player decides whether he can go out there or not. And that's the way this thing happened. You couldn't have had anybody try harder to stay out there with an injury. And obviously, if we were sitting out here playing for the marbles, he'd be out here.
Jerry Sr., Jerry Jr., Happy New Year. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Christy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And as we continue counting down to kick off between the Cowboys and Eagles here at Lincoln Financial Field, let's turn things back over to Bryan and Eric.
Thank you, Christy. And today's Owner's Box is brought to you by Yeti, the official cooler of the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Now it is time for today's Zebra Report, brought to you by Arrow Exterminators, the official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Here's the Super Bowl winning scout, Brian Broaddus.
Thank you very much, Chieftain. Appreciate that. You got Brad Allen today, and so we're starting to get down to the officials that you haven't had this season. Here we are, week 17, and so
this is the guy that you're like, he could be 40 or he could be 14 years old. You look at his face, you're not really sure.
Brad Allen, though, he's had some games in his history where he's lost control of the game, and there have been some questionable calls and things that have kind of...
I think he was on the call for the Raiders Thanksgiving game a few years ago when it was just a flag fest.
No, that was Hockley.
That was Hockley?
Yeah, it was Sean Hockley. I want to say this, that Brad Allen was responsible for the did not report Detroit game.
Oh.
Yeah, with Dan Skipper.
That's a big one.
Yeah, so he's had some days where it's like you're going, what?
Gets away from him. But here we go.
The false start is number one, but you really don't kind of look at that. That's kind of a team thing. Offensive holding, that's the next one for him. Tends to be something. He's pretty balanced when it's home and away on that. Defensive pass interference, that's the next one. That's at 22 for the crew for 14 games. 14 against the aways and only 8 against the homes. Here's the one I think you really, really need to keep an eye on him. We'll see it how much he really, with 2 backup quarterbacks going at it, does he really respect this? Roughing the passer. Got 9 calls in 14 games. That's, it's getting pretty close to having won a game. We always mention that. You don't want to be the team that gets the roughing the passer penalty and then all of a sudden it kills you on a drive or it keeps you from getting off the field. Illegal formation, we've seen that. That seems like every week we're talking about these officials more and more. Got to make sure you're up on the line of scrimmage. Don't be too deep. Don't kill a big play because your tackles weren't up on the ball. Defensive holding, neutral zone infractions, and defensive offsides. Delay of game would be the final one I want to bring up here. That was 5 of those. Sometimes you have these officials that are clock watchers. In this case, though, he's kind of like 5 of the 14 he's had. So just keep an eye on this game. Final thing I also will say this too, just looking down through the list there. Defensive too many men on the field. 3 of those. They're going to sit there. They're going to look at you, and they're going to say, okay, too many guys in the huddle, guys not getting off, that kind of thing. That's been a little bit of a problem with some substitution stuff with the way the Cowboys have played. Hopefully Zim and the guys will be on the screws today for that one.
Yeah, got to be buttoned up. All right, there it is, today's Zebra Report. Thank you, Broaddus. We are now just over 25 minutes to kickoff. Let's go live to Lincoln Financial Field inside the booth with Babe Laufenberg. That's next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
People will always come and go in our lives, but we all know those few who never left. The ones who make you stronger, build you up when you're broken down. The partners who've always had you covered. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, we know what it means to be there, guiding you toward a healthier state of mind. Because the more we know as individuals, the healthier we all feel as a community through it all.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Oil, the official oil of the Dallas Cowboys.
At Academy Sports and Outdoors, we've spent 80+ years in the business of fun. Expert fishing fun. Early morning hunting fun. Late night, need new cleats before tomorrow morning's game fun. Relaxing fun. Mouth-watering fun. So whatever fun adventure you're gearing up for, you'll find it for less at Academy Sports and Outdoors and at academy.com.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
A true Dallas Cowboys fan is there for the journey and the destination. This is the season to make your journey count by flying through McAllen International Airport, the South Texas airport of the Dallas Cowboys. Whether you're flying down for McAllen's award-winning fall and holiday festivals, or you're a South Texas fan flying up to cheer the Cowboys on, make your journey as satisfying as your destination at the South Texas airport of the Dallas Cowboys. McAllen International.
Celebrate responsibly. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Beer, 96 cals and 3.2 grams carbs per 12 ounces. Fewer cals and carbs than premium regular beer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now under 20 minutes to kick off Cowboys in Filthy. Let's go live to Lincoln Financial Field. Into the booth we go with Babe Laufenberg, brought to you by WinStar World Casino and Resort, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. Babe, we got Rush Hour versus old Kenny Pickett in his small hands. What do we think about the quarterback duel today?
Yeah, it's interesting because you kind of don't think of Kenny Pickett as a backup quarterback because he was a first-round draft pick of the Steelers, and he's started 24 games over the last 2 years. But yeah, I think they're kind of equal, to be honest with you. They didn't come out equal, but I think they're equal where they are now. I think Pickett's going to be a little bit like Rush was when he played against Philadelphia earlier this year, because that was his first start. He kind of got his feet wet against Atlanta, came back, started against Philly, and Pickett, he hadn't really played all year. Got his feet wet last week against Washington. More than that, because Hurts went out in the first quarter, and so really this will be the first week that he has had to run the offense, work the plays, do the things that he does best.
Is Cooper Rush off his best game as a pro? That Bucs game?
Hard to say, best game, but it was certainly a good game, no question about it. And I think especially when you factor in that they could not run the ball on Tampa.
Yeah.
So usually you play pretty well when you're able to run the ball and you got some things available to you. But my fear is that happens again today. I mean, if I'm Philadelphia and Vic Fangio, and I'm sitting here saying they got no threat on the outside. I can handle their guys one-on-one with my corners. I'm going to play a 5-man front, which they do sometimes, but I'm going to play that consistently. I'm going to take away their run, and I'm going to dare you to beat me throwing the ball to the receivers you have.
I love it. All right, Babe, we've been taking a tally today, all of our guests, trying to get the votes here for this year's NFL MVP. All right, so who would be the Babe Laufenberg vote?
Well, I don't get a vote, but if I did,
you deserve one, Babe.
Top of my head, if you tell me Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, I'm good with either of those guys. They both had phenomenal years. I don't want to say they're carrying their teams. I think Josh Allen is. Obviously, Lamar Jackson has Derrick Henry in that backfield with him. But either one of those guys, I'm good with. The only thing is, are you going to really make Lamar Jackson win it for the third time? I think maybe time to give it to Josh Allen.
Well, I am shocked that you are the first voice to lend a vote to Lamar and or Josh Allen today. We're getting a ton of Barkley, little Burrow, little Mahomes, but Barkley's going to win this thing out for the pregame show votes. 4 Barkley votes, and that's the official America's Team pregame show MVP. All right.
Well, let me just say quickly.
Yeah.
The game does not hinge, winning and losing, on Saquon Barkley having a good game. If your quarterback has a bad game, you're losing the football game. So that's why people say, it's a quarterback's award. Well, because they're the most important position on the field. We know that.
I like the way you football, Babe Laufenberg. You're the man. Thanks for the time. Enjoy the game. We'll be listening. There he goes, Babe Laufenberg. And now we go on to the field of Lincoln Financial and welcome in Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales. Her keys to the game brought to you by Pollock Aurora, proud supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Christy, I'm curious how the field conditions are right now.
Yeah, the weather is very nice, 61 degrees, but the wind is definitely a factor. I think it can even affect the coin toss. I think that if Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys win the coin toss, that they're going to defer to the second half so that they can have the wind in the fourth quarter. It's blowing above the stadium. The flags look like they're blowing south to north. But down here at field level, inside the stadium, it's north to south. So whichever team is going towards the north, I was asking Brandon Aubrey, because he finished up with his warm-ups on the field goals. He says that it's costing him about 8 to 10 yards of distance going that direction. So now going the other way, we know he has a 65-yarder this year. Heck, he might be able to hit from 75 with the wind behind him. But again, if you're going towards the north, whichever team, it's going to be at least 8 to 10 yards of distance lost because of this gusting wind.
Wow. Okay, that's crazy with the way it just swirls in that stadium, and I would imagine that would affect the passing game a little bit. I'm curious, with Lamb out, who would be your pass catcher that you would circle as a guy that maybe could get some production today?
Well, I think Brandon Cooks is going to be your main guy. Can we go to more tight ends today?
Yeah.
We can do that. Here's the thing, and I agree with Babe that with Fangio, just load up the box and stop the run game and try and have Cooper Rush go to these, younger receivers other than Brandon Cooks. I think a lot of it, guys, is going to depend on how tightly this officiating crew calls it with the defensive backs, because if they let them be physical and play, we've seen that other than CeeDee Lamb, these guys for the Cowboys, they're not the greatest at, getting a lot of separation, and it seems like everything's tight window throws. So, I think that's going to be an issue. And the other thing is Jalen Tolbert, he's with a dislocation, that compound dislocation last week. He is playing today. He does have the glove on. We can't see the wrap underneath it, but with his left pinky finger and left ring finger are taped together underneath that glove. So not that he can't catch today, but, it's going to be very painful every time he tries to snag any of Cooper Rush's passes.
Well, Christy, thanks so much. Enjoy the game. We'll be listening.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Bryan.
There she goes, Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales. And now, Broaddus, it is prediction time. Let's not forget, this is a hats and T-shirts game.
Yes, it is.
For these filthy
It
Eagles.
is.
I'm going Eagles victory here, 24-13.
Yeah. I like what you're doing there. I actually picked Philadelphia 26-13, and it's so funny on the couple different platforms I'm on. You usually pick a score, and we didn't do that the last couple of times.
Forgot to do it.
So here's the first one for the weekend. But yeah, Philadelphia, plenty of them running the football, plenty of Dallas trying to run the football. Which team kind of gets the other one into some third down situations and makes the quarterbacks have to play? I do believe Dallas does have the better quarterback. I do think Philadelphia has the better secondary, and Dallas is very compromised at wide receiver.
All right, kickoff is around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. Brad, Babe, and Christy. Make sure you stick around for the halftime and postgame as well with Brian Broaddus and Zach Wolchuk. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Hey, Dallas football fans, Buffalo Wild